Paul, McGuire, Grimes, KSTP, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Vera, and Patrick. It is really great talking to both of you today. I think that the first Conjuring is one of the best horror movies in the last decade. So thanks for introducing us to Ed and Lorraine Warren. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks. Look, I see your jackets right there.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Don't worry, I've got Up in the Air, The Departed, Aquaman, Insidious all back there as well. Don't you worry.
Impressive.
Thanks. Now, Vera, if I remember correctly, you got to meet Lorraine Warren when you were making the first film. What did you take away from those conversations?
Both of us did. Both of us befriended her. We would make a point of visiting with her every time. And we did 3 films where we had several trips out to see her. We'd break bread, we'd give her a good old hug, we'd sit in the garden, and we'd just chat for hours and hours. And certainly we missed doing that this time around with her absence. But the biggest thing that I took was, I think that she and I have like a very different frequency in terms of how we dealt with, like how we would deal with the diabolical. Like I think I probably wouldn't be as serene as she is. So that was like her serenity and her gentleness were huge for me to experience of her personally, in terms of adding that component to her persona, and the way she handles everything. I'm a bit more I'm not as calm.
Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Patrick, when you were making that first one, did you ever think, like, we've got something on our hands here? I'm sensing this Conjuring cinematic universe that this is then to become. And what does that mean to both of you?
Well, I didn't sense the universe part of it, or maybe I would have tried to push to become a producer on it. That's what we should have done.
Oh, I know, hindsight.
I kid. I honestly thought if we got it right, we'd be back for 2 or 3. I did not for a second think that they were, like, when I heard, they're doing an Annabelle spinoff, I was like, what? Oh, okay. Oh yeah, it makes sense. The doll, James used to tell me when we did Insidious, and he would talk about Saw and Jigsaw, and he would always talk about marketing, like a marketing toy, right? It's Freddy in the glove, and Mike Myers in the mask, Jason in the mask, right? With the machete, like that's how horror movies we've been trained to sort of, we need to latch onto an image, right? For product, for marketing. And we didn't really have that. So I do find it fascinating that not only we don't have one, now in each movie we have a few, right? So that's a long way of really showing how James could foresee a lot of this. I just thought if we do it right, there's so many stories here, and the way we're setting up the franchise of following the heroes, the supernatural heroes versus the villain, like Freddy and those other people we just talked about, that it would be a really interesting dynamic because it hasn't been done in horror movies. So I'm glad that audiences went and saw the movie and continue to, or else you wouldn't be here.
No, for sure.
Well, I may be here, I just wouldn't be talking to you.
Right. Now, Vera, what do you have to say to the skeptics out there that either don't believe in possession or paranormal or haunted stuff? Because I believe in all that, and I just get so into it.
Look, whether you see as the devil as, someone there in his red tights with a pitchfork and
wears tights? The devil wears tights? That's amazing.
Creepy red skin. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, some people have a very physical, sort of see it as a very physical being, and to some, Satan just may be the notion of negativity, right?
Right.
Negativity, anything negative. It could be deceit. It could be apathy. It could be greed. It could be, you name it, cruelty, selfishness. I think none of that matters.
Right.
What your concept of God is. I think it will resonate to everybody, depending on, I think there's a way to see this film and have it sort of speak to you, because bottom line, the message is that love conquers all, right? Yeah. And there's no, love always wins, no matter what the intent of the hatred, right? Mm-hmm. It's stronger than any army of demons. And so you could replace that demon word with whatever is bugging you and whatever you're coping with, that's negative.
Yeah, I love this. Has been great. I wish I could keep talking to you, Vera. I hope to talk to you for the Many Saints of Newark.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's so wonderful.
Oh good. Oh my God. Okay, great.
Oh, I think it is.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Oh my God, I can't wait. And then Patrick, I'm looking forward to you directing Insidious. So I'm hoping that like takes off and that happens coming up.
Yes, it will. After we do Aquaman, we're jumping into that.
Good. Awesome. Well, take care, both of you. I really appreciate this conversation.
Thank you. Good to talk to you.
Minneapolis, St. Paul. Rory, Sarah, Catherine, it was really great talking to both of you. The fantastic work at this movie. I'm a big fan of the Conjuring franchise, so thank you.
Thank you.
Conjuring DVDs in the background. Very good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, look at that. Oh, lovely.
Now, thank you. Now, Rory, it must take a lot of stamina to not only just star in a horror movie, but especially with what your character goes through. What did you learn from Patrick and Vera to kind of keep that up throughout shooting?
The first time I ever laid eyes on Vera in the flesh was the read-through. She ran into the room. She high-fived every single person there, at least in my imagination she did, and shouted, "Conjuring 3, baby," you know? And I knew that despite this being a very grim tale with lots of horrific elements to it, that if Patrick and Vera are seemingly having the time of their lives on their millionth Conjuring film, I could probably be pretty time for one. And it was true. And I feel like me and Sarah Catherine kind of became this little mini Patrick and Vera on set. And we kind of looked at them for how to act. And most of it was just about having fun in between takes, because otherwise it's hard for you. And I think you can almost sense in a take, if you're doing take 10 of screaming and crying and you have been in a miserable place trying to listen to dark 9 Inch Nails to try and keep you there, the energy drops. You need to be happy, and then you'll have somewhere to go when you become distraught and possessed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good answer. Now, Sarah Catherine, what surprises you most about Arnie and Debbie's story?
Oh my gosh. Well, like the actual murder itself, like the act, I guess, and like the fact that they remained so devoted to one another, like throughout their whole lives and up until Debbie's passing, which she passed away very recently. I think that was probably the most surprising. I mean, in a way, it's not surprising given what they went through together, like even beforehand with her younger brother. But yeah, the act itself and just her devotion to him the whole time. Did
you guys get to talk to them while they were on set?
Yes, I did quite a lot. Rory didn't as much, but I had like a full-on relationship with Debbie. And like I spoke with Arnie a bit, but I was kind of clinging on to Debbie the whole time that she was there, just taking her all in.
Was there anything crazy that happened on set that felt a little too spooky? And I read that there was a blessing that was performed on before filming started.
Well, you'll have to ask Sarah Catherine about the blessing, because I wasn't there for the first day of filming. Arnie, unfortunately, is in prison for a lot of it. Mm-hmm. So I film a lot by myself and don't get to hang out with the gang as much. And I missed out on the blessing, which is, is obviously a joke, which is why I assume there's been Frankenstein's monster on my couch for the last 2 years, because I missed out on that day. I'm going to have to craft that joke a bit better, but there's going to be a good one someday. But
I think it's great. Now I'm realizing you probably should have been there for the blessing more than anyone, I'm realizing, given that you were the one who was possessed throughout the movie. So it was kind of rude of them to not invite you, sure. I'd say. But that was super cool, the blessing.
Oh, that's awesome. I got the rap signal. I wish I could keep talking to both of you. Congrats on the success of the movie. It was great. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Paul, McGuire, Grimes, KSTP, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Michael, it is really great talking to you today. I really enjoyed The Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It. I'm a big fan of these 3 movies, so thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Great to talk to you.
Yeah. Now, I really love the homage that you gave to The Exorcist at the beginning of the movie. It was so clear. Were there other movies that you were inspired by and wanted to bring into this film?
Yeah, there's a bunch of Easter eggs throughout the movie. I mean, I think that the Conjuring films are right now, I think they're one of the biggest, most successful horror franchises out there. And, from the very beginning, they've been this kind of love letter to horror movies and to horror cinema. And, so much of it is a kind of there's nods, and it's also a conversation both with, within itself and then within, the broader sense. There's nods to Psycho. There's honestly, a couple Psycho, Easter eggs in there. There's a Nightmare on Elm Street, sequence, which, the waterbed is, a lot of people have talked about this waterbed sequence. It is, one of the big moments in the movie. There's definitely a Nightmare on Elm Street inspiration behind it. It's at the same time, it's definitely its own thing. You know, even beyond that, there's a couple, you know, kind of Hitchcock nods, which I won't get too specific in, because they, you know, it's probably not what you're expecting. And this is a movie filled with surprises, and we take the Warrens, you know, on a journey. You know, I'm like yourself. I'm coming at this as a fan first, and I think what I always love with following a franchise is when you get to a movie where they're taking chances and it's filled with surprises, and you know, this is definitely that film, and you know, we definitely there's lots of twists and turns as it goes.
Yeah, no, I love the new journey that we see Ed and Lorraine take in this, because it isn't just the haunted house again or the possessed doll again. Like, it's a very new journey, and I appreciate that. Now, your screener, I got to talk to Arnie Johnson, Debbie Glatzel. Did you get a chance to talk to them as well? And what surprises you most about their story?
You know, I think I didn't get a chance to talk to them. They came on the day that we were shooting The Exorcism, and that's, you know, if you've seen the film, it's how the movie opens. It's a really harrowing sequence, and you know, by the time, you know, I was able to slip away, they had already left. We definitely did a lot of interviews with them. We had, you know, a lot of research. I think that the thing that really stuck with me is their relationship. You know, Debbie stayed with Arnie through really, you know, he was with her through the exorcism of her young brother, and she stood by him. You know, she was there at the murder. She was there through the trial, and you know, I won't spoil anything, but you know, they've been together their entire lives. She actually just passed away a couple of weeks ago from cancer, and you know, it was. I think their love was the thing that really surprised me the most. You know, and you know, their relationship definitely mirrors the Warrens, and I think that their kind of commitment to each other. You know, everyone talks about how this is like, you know. It keeps them up at night, and it's like one of the scariest Conjuring movies they've seen. And, you know, I'm honored by that. I think one of the things that I also love that people talk about is that, you know, the love story within it, you know, their relationship within it. And, you know, it was, you know, the Warrens, you know, have such a great relationship, and you kind of see that mirrored within Arnie and Debbie.
That's great. I love it. Now, what would you say to skeptics out there that maybe don't believe in the paranormal or hauntings or possessions? And what would be how would you convince them that they exist?
You know, I would say, hey, I grew up as a Catholic, but I'm also, you know, also a big believer in science. And I have that debate about what I believe, you know, on a weekly, sometimes daily basis. And it has been kind of brought even more into focus with this movie, because I think a lot of times, you know, I'm sometimes the most skeptical person. And, you know, a lot of times in these kind of supernatural movies, you're kind of like asked, you know, do I believe or not believe? And I think that's sometimes a fun game. I think that this time it starts to take on a lot more weight, and, you know, because we have a real victim and there's a real murder there. So I can definitely see how skeptics would get even more skeptical. I think that there's a bigger idea at play here. And I think that, you know, for skeptics, I would say bring your skepticism and bring your doubt. And, you know, we're in a culture now that, you know, we only seem to see things as right and wrong. And we only see it's like, you know, I'm right and the other side is wrong. And I think that, you know, it's easy to pass judgment on everything and everyone. And especially in this case, to just make an assumption as to what it is. And I think I would encourage them to, you know, come to your own conclusion and to, you know, see the message behind it. And, yeah, I'm excited for people to see it.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Well, it was great talking to you. I got the rap signal. So congrats again on this film. I appreciate it. It's great.
Yeah, thank you for the time. It was great to meet you.
Thank you.